Hi student, you go to the teacher website and then today our topic is the example 6-7. We will use the scikit-learn modules and to build a support vector machine (SVM) model to predict the Titanic passenger's survival. And the objective of this text is to complete the last three sections of the full write-up for machine learning. The full write-up for machine learning. The last three sections of that full write-up for machine learning. And the first is automatically convert the text value of sy label into numerical value. We use the scikit-learn function, the label encoder, for encoding, and no longer use the replace function. The second, we automatically split the entire dataset of DF into two groups for training data and the testing data. And the third is quantitative exam. The quantitative exam. The quantitative exam. The correlation between each feature column and the target white label. And the correlation between each feature column and the target column white label. We use the function of the CORR. And first of all, so the objective of that is we build a support vector machine model to predict Titanic passenger survival, and we will make a prediction. We will given a Titanic passenger A with the following three feature value: the age, gender, passenger's class, and we will ask, will these passengers survive? Survive and die. The survive and die. So we should connect to the Google server and read the data set DF. And we also to split the DF into two. We before we do to for the practice tree, that the two feature columns are not a numerical field, but a categorical object test field. And the data used in machine learning or the deep learning must be in numerical format, not the categorical object. Categorical object. And before converting to numerical value, determine whether the categorical object field can be directly converted into a numerical form.
Categorical object.
The key criteria for determining whether direct conversion to numericals 0.1 is possible. For the binary categories, e.g., male and female. Second is order categoricals like SML, cosine size. And the method to convert categorical objects into numerical field. The first method is use pandas replace. And the second method is use scikit-learn label encoder. And we can use this label encoder and fit transform. And for this series into another series. So then, for here, because the gender is male and female, but you know that we should convert this male and female into the numerical format. We could not use the categorical format to be calculated in the AI. So here we use the label encoder and we use the fit transform. And you can see here that we transfer from the field female and male into the 0 and 1. The other one we want to transfer is the passengers class. We also use the label encoder next we use the fit transform, transfer the passengers class to a numerical format like this. And for the fourth practice is how can we split the entire data set into two groups, including the training data and also the testing data, like this. Here we input that the array of the data set. Here this is the X and this is Y. This is the after splitting that the data the size of the test data. Finally, we can show the answer like this. And here is the fifth practice. It's AI introduced to 6 steps. And for the fourth step that we build a mathematical model, we use the linear SVC, that is support vector machine algorithm. Like this. So we just to get the data and also build a model like here. And for the second step, we train the data using historical data. We use the train data to let the model to train the data like here, this. So since we have error that we need to read the data again, and because that we use of this, okay, gender and passenger class, and then split the data, and then we just to build a model, and also we train the data, okay. And for the third step, that we make a prediction. And when Titanic passenger A has the following three features value, that is age, gender, and passenger class. Will passenger A survive? And we use the predictions command like here. Okay, this is our prediction. This all means that he could not survive. He just died. And for the sixth practice, the step 4, the quantitative evaluate the models using three methods: the overall accuracy, and also confusion matrix and the classification report. And for the first method is the overall accuracy. And we just use we import the scikit-learn matrix folder. Inside this folder, we can find a function called accuracy score. Here, he could output the value of this model score. So here we could find the model score is point 0.8 is 0.8. And the second method to get the score of the model is just we use the matrix. Inside the matrix, we could find the accurate score. So the accurate score, finally he could find the answer is quite the same. It's also 0.8, just like this answer. So both methods is okay. And for the step for this practice 7, that is second method, we will evaluate the actual and the predicted using the confusion matrix. And the command for the confusion matrix table is like here. And here that we just import the scikit-learn matrix folder. Inside this folder, we can find a function called confusion matrix. We give this function the value parameter is y-test and y-predict. And finally, we could just to convert this as data frame. The answer of this is array. But I use the data frames function, we could transfer this array into the data frame. And then we could get it over this table. And the second method of the confusion matrix is like here. It's just to draw a graphic, beautiful graphic for this table. And we should import the scikit-learn matrix. And inside this folder, we call an algorithm called confusion matrix display. But this algorithm could not give this for the function. So we should to call another function called func prediction. Then we input the parameter called y-test and y-predict. Then we can draw the graphic table like here. And after we do the confusion matrix, we could calculate the classification report from this computation matrix. So for this practice 8, we should to import the matrix folder, and inside this we could find that our classification report. This is report, and the function of this is about the parameter input, that is y test and y predict, and finally we just to print out this report like here. Okay, every student now you have 3 minutes to practice over this. And then we should to answer the following question. The evaluate the being correctly identifies rate of sample Y. The overall accuracy of the all Y sample, that is accuracy. Here the answer of this is the accuracy. And evaluate this AI model's hit rate. That is prediction accuracy. For example, the AI's model's accuracy is for predicting Y for the samples for the samples labels 0. The accuracy of the AI's accuracy for predicting Y for the samples label 0. Let the value of that is the for the value that is the 0.78, and the AI's accuracy for predicting sample label 1, that the value that is 0.89. So for this AI model, the highest hit rate is for sample Y1, and for the lowest hit rate for sample Y0. So let us check the answer. Is that correct? Y1 and also the lower hit rate, that is Y2. So the overall accuracy for the all Y sample, that is 0.8. It's like here, 0.8. And we also must to answer the question about for the evaluate the being correctly identified rate for sample Y is called recall. So for the sample Y1, for the label is 0, being correctly identified rate. That is this value called recall 0.97. So the value of that is this value. And for the sample Y2, be correctly identified rate, the value of that is also recalled 0.46. So among the two Y sample 0 and 1, which one has the highest hit rate? Have the highest being identified rate? The sample 0 have the highest being identified rate. And let me break the line. And which one is the highest? Is hardest to identify. The hardest to identify that is the sample 1. Sample 1, that is hardest. So let us check the answer. The highest being identified red letter is 0, die. And the hardest identified letter is 1, survive, died, survived. And for the step 5, that is test whether the model is overfitting. And first we calculate the accuracy of the training data. And then we calculate the accuracy of the testing data. And the condition for determining overfitting, that is if the number of the train is very high, but the number of tests is very low, then overfitting has occurred, like here. So we calculate the train data. The score of this model is about 0.77, but for the test score, that is 0.8. And comparison of these two results, because the accuracy of the test data is not significant, worse, so there is no overfitting. That means the accuracy of the test data is higher than the accuracy of the trained data, so there is no overfitting issue. And finally, here this is practice 9. That is quantitative exam for the correlation between each features column and the survival column. And we use the command is df.correlation function. And how to interpret it, the correlation of features parameter whether the column survive is 1. So now we get the core column like the passenger class, the age and the gender and whether survive, and then we write the correlation between all feature parameter to verse the target y, and whether the column is when the column that is whether survive is 1, like here is 1, then the parameter is like here. So the coefficient for the passenger's class, that is negative point dot 5, and the correlation coefficient for the passenger class, that is negative 0.35, and for the age, the coefficient is the negative 0.004. So for this case, that is high positive correlation, and for this, that is moderate negative correlation, and for this, that is almost no correlation. So that is the possible situation for correlation coefficient between two variables. And for three broad categories, that is positive correlation and no correlation and negative correlation. But for the detailed classification, we have these four kinds of the classification. For this case, letter is the value less than uh, uh, 0.3. Letter is the low correlation. For the value between the 0.7 and the 0.3, that is moderate correlation. And for the value between the 0.7 and the 0.8, that is higher correlation. And for the value is bigger than the 0.8, that is very high correlation. So we use this function to calculate. And the result is how to interpret the correlation of the features parameter. And when the current survival is 1, like here is for 1, here this is for 1. And we have the parameter coefficient is like here. So for the gender, the coefficient is this, and the letter is moderate 中度 moderate negative correlation. And for the value of here, this is the negative 0.35. That is low to moderate negative correlation. And here this is negative 0.04. That is almost no correlation. And here this is our conclusion. We use the scikit-learn support vector machine SVM for classification, and we introduce the 6 introductory steps like here. Okay, students, now you have the 5 minutes to practice of this example.